Hi, and welcome to Sputnik ATX. Today we have a kitchen table dialogue with one of our portfolio companies. My name is Oksana Malysheva, together with my colleagues, Joe Merrill and Amanda Eakin, based out of Austin, Texas. We pick future unicorns, we fund them, and we teach them how to grow and scale. And it is my absolute pleasure to talk today with Jake Deleon. Jake, why don't you tell us about Fila Manila and introduce a little bit to you? We're huge fans of Jake and his company, but I'll let him introduce the business himself.
Thanks, Oksana, and thank you, Sputnik, as always. So my name is Jake Deleon. I'm the founder of Fila Manila, and our vision is to represent the next generation of Filipino American flavors. I mean, a quick background on my end is that I am a first generation Filipino American immigrant. My opening joke is that means I was born in the Philippines and raised in the exotic land of New Jersey. But the insight behind the company came during the lockdown. And there was an insight that talked about in some areas of the US, 20% of the healthcare workforce fighting on the front lines of COVID were Filipino. And that was a mind blown moment for me. And I did more research. And it turns out the Filipino population in the US is quite sizable, second largest Asian American group, the largest in 11 states, including California. But I myself, coming from a background of consumer packaged goods, I cross reference this as wait a minute, if we're such a large part of the community, why is it when I go to mainstream US grocery stores, there's actually zero representation of our delicious cuisine on the shelf? And so it was that lack of representation that gave me the inspiration and also the conviction to start the first Filipino American food brand. And that's how Fila Manila was born.
Jake, I know you have been growing aggressively, and there are a lot of accolades that I get in your newsletters. I'm curious, what's on the horizon for Fila Manila? How do you see the next 6 to 12 months evolving?
Yeah, for sure. So it is a very exciting time for the company. So, to remind, like our vision is to represent the next generation of Filipino American flavors. So, in order to do that, we're introducing more than just our initial product, which were cooking sauces. So we expanded since into three product categories in total. So we have our cooking sauces, we have our condiments, and we have our spreads. And each of those are rooted in core Filipino flavor
Yeah.
concepts. If you think about what we're doing in the next few months, we're preparing for major retail scale ups and expansions. For example, Whole Foods is launching our sauces and our condiments nationally this past June, and they'll be launching our spreads in September. So, we'll be one of the few startups in the Whole Foods history that have three product lines launching nationally across the chain within like the first few years of a startup's life. In addition to that, Target has expanded our store presence and count for our products and coming this fall as well. So we did really well with their initial pilot test at Target stores, and now they're expanding it because of that success. Yeah. So we're kind of where we had this fortunate opportunity to work with the top retailers early on in our startup life, and we're really working hard to make sure those launches are success, because I feel, for at least for our strategy, you win big with the largest retailers in the US, and congratulations, you win the retail game, and we reinforce our position as the number one Filipino American food brand in the US.
Yeah. Well, first of all, congratulations. This is amazing. As your investor, I always love to hear that. But tell me, when your business undergoes this transformational growth, what does it mean to you as a founder? How do you grow? How do you continue to grow and reinvent yourself as a leader as you navigate through this transition?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I come from this is because I think about, sometimes I was asked about how does my experience play into being a founder of a consumer packaged goods startup. So I worked in corporate, specifically in CPG, for many, many years. I was working with Procter and Gamble and Starbucks. The biggest insight for me starting my entrepreneurial journey is that, yes, a lot of the skill sets you learn from that corporate career are quite valuable, but in reality, being a founder is a completely different range of skill sets that we're still continuing to fine tune and improve and sharpening the sword every day. So for us, as we continue to scale up Fila Manila, there's a lot of issues that we're working on and a lot of opportunities of how the company can pivot, right? So, now we're dealing with supply chain issues, rising fuel prices, and that's really impacting our bottom line. especially in the economic lens of uncertainty, where a lot of consumers are being more careful about their purchases, right? So, in a founder in our consumer product space, we have to kind of navigate a lot of these headwinds and say, how do we get our product out there? How do we sell more units? And how do we get more distribution? At the same time, playing with a different set of rules than what had worked in the past few years, like before COVID. And for me, it's exciting because we learn a lot along the way. I'm not smart enough to do it myself. So I rely on a lot of our advisors, even fellow founders who are going through that same journey and say, hey, we're all going through the same storm. Let's learn and kind of talk to each other and network to see what are the best practices for us to navigate a lot of these things, because ultimately, we're supporting each other. It's not an easy way. It's not an easy path to be a founder. And so, it's the best way we can do is just to be our own support
Yeah.
system.
Yeah, it takes a tribe. It actually, people don't realize that no matter how smart, and you are smart enough, but no one is smart enough to lift up a nationally significant brand on their own. And I think the sooner people understand the message, the better the success of the business, and frankly, also the more enjoyable the journey.
Yeah, I mean it's a painful journey, but I love it. So
Yeah. No, I mean, I think
I
that's
don't know
one of the
about what you hear from
misnomers,
other founders.
the
Yeah,
understood belief about startup life that it's easy and it's going to be fraught with roses and victories, and you for sure going to have some of them, but equally there are a lot of thorns on those roses. People who understand that the journey is joyful but difficult, and it's a balance, and it's going to demand everything and hopefully give you a lot back in return. Jake, you are
oh for
truly
sure.
an
Yeah, I mean,
incarnation of the founder that grows. And I really would like to see your vision come to life in a very, very pronounced way, representing the flavors of the next generation Filipino cuisine is what your company deserves, your heritage deserves, and honestly, all of us that are cooking at home will benefit from that tremendously. It's a privilege and an honor to chat with you and to have you as one of our investors. Thank you, Jake.